Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. It's a pleasure to have you back here with me on the channel once again for another wee video talking all things Celtic. And of course, this is something of your post-match reaction, if you will. And of course, more importantly, we're fed up with it by now, but needs must. Also, another maybe doomsday-esque looking towards the transfer window closing tomorrow because, yeah, do you know what? It is the 1st of February and some good things have happened and that Celtic have now managed to narrow the gap on our City rivals. We're still 6 behind Hearts, but results elsewhere, of course, showing us back on a level pegging, and that old goal difference has put us in the second place. But as you can see there on the tagline, it is very self-explanatory. Don't finish second best. It's nice to be back up to second. We've managed to close the gap a wee bit, but as it says, get the business done or risk finishing second best, being league also rans, and it's becoming increasingly frustrating. It is for me having to come on here and talk to you guys about nothing all the time. I'm sure it is frustrating for you guys as fans who are paying good money to follow Celtic, where you watch it live or where you just invest in everything Celtic elsewhere. And we feel like we're getting a wee bit hard done by, and perhaps even another manager, in this case a club legend, is getting absolutely sold out by the powers that be. If you were there today, if you watched, you would have seen that there was loud chants against the board. Stand up if you hate the board. And it was a very resounding support for that one, as well as some other banners. And you would hope, just hope, that perhaps the message maybe is filtering through, because I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm not trying to make it sensationalist, but tomorrow really is absolutely make or break for Celtic season, for our chances of retaining the title, for our chances at getting a crack at the Premier European Tournament next season, and also, well, I think they're already past it, but for those ones that run the club, is their last chance to even have any remote outside chance of keeping hold of their job. But the actions will speak louder than anything else that comes out of Celtic Park. So let's hope. And before we do that, welcome to every single one of you as we do. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. If you are a regular subscriber or one of our followers, then thank you very much for your continued support. We really, truly appreciate it. Thanks for everybody turning out last night. I think we're about 4,000 of you have watched that video so far. Thanks for supporting us, and thanks, of course, to Stephen and Paddy for doing that show and coming on and giving us all something to talk about. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It's the same as the amount of money, as I joke all the time, but it's true. It's the amount of money Celtic have paid on transfers this window so far. So hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. You'll get updated every time we go live. And if you like it, the big, fat, huge thumbs up, share it, and get us down below in the description is all our other social media. So let's get down to business, and thank you very much. We got a nice donation there from Clydebank Celtic. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your support. And yes, indeed, let's get some players in, but we'll get round to that. We'll talk a wee bit about the game. We'll talk about the apparent, incomings that look all but imminent. But again, take it with the biggest grain of salt ever. We've heard everything, but we've not actually seen anything. There's a difference. And we'll get on to that there as well. And let's see who we're getting. There's a couple you starting to filter in with. 420, the original member, thank you very much. It's always good to see you. Jersey's in there as well. Maury's coming in on the YouTube, and of course we'll get some familiar faces. So let us know your thoughts on the game, anything you want to talk about, and of course we'll get on to some of those names that have popped up. And you can tell me, what do you think? Are the required standard? I'll have my thoughts on it. You'll know that'll happen. But are those the required standard? Are they going to get us absolutely over? Are the players get some players in? Is these going to be the ones that we need to sort of kickstart and really push us on and get us over the line eventually? So let's have a wee look at it. But let's do a kicking off point. Of course, it was Falkirk today. We always knew that it was going to be a tough game. Falkirk are playing some really good football. I think that them and Motherwell are definitely something of the surprise package this season. I think, when Falkirk came up, We knew they played this sort of nice on the eye, tried to do the right things type of football. And we thought, where are we going to get that when they come up? Because as much as I hate to talk about them, I hate them. But remember when Livingston got promoted, they were playing a wee kind of attacking brand of football. We thought, well, maybe they'll try that up here. But no, they went back to their usual type and they are miserable. But Falkirk, on the other hand, they've come up and they've tried to do it and it's been quite successful. John McGunn's getting them playing some really good football. Him and, of course, your man Askew at Motherwell, two teams that are playing really good football and are making it hard for the bigger teams, if you will, ourselves included. So we knew that nothing was going to be a given today against Falkirk. John McGunn's always getting well arranged. He's got it well sorted out. And, of course, we knew we were going to have to earn the points. And certainly that is what we had to do. In terms of the kicking off in the lineup, there wasn't really too much to write home about. It was fairly much as you would have expected how we'd lined up. Obviously, good to see Araujo back in there. I'm really impressed with him. You've seen him on the thumbnail there. He is, of course, the man of the match today. And I think he is a player that we know that doesn't appear to be an option to buy him on this loan, but I would seriously start looking into trying to see what deal could be struck, even if it's, I know it's by the by at the moment, but start making conversations with Bournemouth, because I think that come the summer, he is exactly the type of guy that we need in at Celtic. We talk about having that like-for-like quality. If you've got the options between him and Alistair Johnson, then it just makes you feel so much more positive about what you've got from that sort of area of the pitch. Of course, we need that to be echoed across on the left-hand side as well, where it pretty much just is Kieran Tierney. And again, the centre halves are what they are. Injuries to Carter Vickers, suspension, of course, for Trusty today after that red card, which was appealed and strangely upheld. But what else did you expect? So we get Dane Murray partnering Scales. And again, don't want to get down and labour it too much. There's a reason that Dane Murray's not a starter. And once again, I just felt that overall this game, we got the result. That's the most important thing. I'm not going to, cut my nose off to spite my face and moan for the sake of moan. It wasn't vintage. It wasn't swashbuckling. It was actually a wee bit turgid at times, but we get the job done. There's some two nice goals in there, but it didn't come without its scares. And it just, once again, highlights what we've been rattling on about all season and all through this transfer window. It is the lack of quality. This team, I've said it again, I'll say it. We are a seasoned veteran boxer with a glass jaw. We still get wobbled with the same blows, those balls into the box, and we're just continually riddled. And I just feel that, again, coming back to why we need to get these players in, the points in the game where it looked a wee bit sort of shaky, and then even looking at the options that are on the bench, there's not a lot of real game changers. Maybe in seasons gone by, you would look and say, oh, a Fit Forrest, a Bernardo, a Hatate, yeah, I absolutely bring that on. And Ian Atchell, I'm kind of giving him a bye because he's just come back, but it's not the Hatate of years gone by. It's a shadow of Hatate. It's a shadow of Paulo Bernardo. It's James Forrest who will try, but he is very much running out. It's a Luke McCowan that you don't know what you're getting. So, yes, these guys would have been good and dependable at one point, but right now they just simply aren't doing it, and that's where we need to try and get them in. And yep, as Punch is saying, I would absolutely sign Araujo on a permanent. I think for me, a phenomenal player. He's been one of the very few bright sparks. We've had absolutely nothing to write home about. Faranka today again gets his goal, a goal and an assist in his first two outings. We'll take that, and long may it continue for the big man to kick on. So yeah, we'll take that as we find it as well. But that's only two players. We need far much more support than that, and hopefully we will get them. But again, back to the game. Midfield taking care of itself there. We've got Yang, who again I thought had a pretty decent game, looked quite lively. Obviously, he then had to come off. Still waiting for some sort of confirmation whether that was an injury type thing, a precautionary, or maybe, as it said, he was maybe just not feeling well and they'd ran his race and that was as much as he can do. Because when he came off, he didn't look like he was actually limping or taking an injury. Engels, we'll talk about him. A lot of interest in him, it would appear. Of course, we've heard that there's been bids coming in from down south. What does that mean for this transfer window? McGregor looks a wee bit lively. Negrin Celtic's MVP the season so far, once again pops up in the right place. A fantastic finish. We'll go on to it, and unlucky not to add a second. But yeah, very much as you would expect the lineups to go. And in terms of the game and how it panned out, yep, I actually was quite surprised, to be honest with you. 1 second, get the wet the whistle here. I actually thought that Falkirk started really, really well. And this has been a sort of thing for Celtic, hasn't it? Even at home, where you expect us to come out, you expect us to just kind of run over the top of anybody. Well, I say that sort of, half jokingly, but you expect at home to come out the traps nice and quick, to get things done, to make it happen. And it's, neither here nor there. Celtic are on the back foot earlier on, and Falkirk look like they're just up for it. Similar to that time when they came, they visited the Cup, exact same story. They've got no fear, and I think that's definitely, even with since Martin's came back and these 2 stints, he's made us, a wee bit more robust. He's made us a bit more gritty. We're getting results. He still hasn't necessarily instilled that fear factor. I still think that teams, whether at home or away, come and they play against Celtic and they think, we can go at them. They've got their deficiencies, and let's make a fight yet. And that's very much what I felt we got from it. And probably in that early stage, I think Falkirk were perhaps a wee bit unlucky not to nick a goal and go ahead. Of course, it's good to see there's Paddy in the chat. Good to see it. I would have loved to have had you here beside me, but I'm sure that you are all tired out and on wife's orders after a long one the other night there. But yes, it's good to have Paddy in there as well. As I say, and get your thoughts up and let us know exactly what you are thinking. But yeah, back to what I was saying about the action, the early stages of the game, I thought Falkirk were good value for money. They were doing the right things, they're moving it about, trying to get it in. And those early balls into the box, I keep saying it, fed up of saying it, it's the same issues. Cross balls into the box, trying to threaten us, playing it in deep. And it's exactly, they probably should have scored inside the opening 10 minutes. It's a good free header. I think defence is slightly under it. I don't know whether it was happening, but it's a free header for the Falkirk player. And, unlucky not to score. An early warning shot that, you're going to have to tighten things up here a wee bit there. Oh, there we go. It was Paddy's birthday. So yes, if you've not done it already, wish him a happy birthday. Yes, happy birthday for me, Paddy. I did tell you that anyway, mate, but happy birthday for me. And there we go. Good to see it's confirmed. It was an illness with Yang and not an injury. Yeah, I think that was suggested that it was maybe one of these kind of bugs or something like that, whereby we kind of had to bring him off. He sort of played because we had to go to that well, but we didn't really have much to go with. And yeah, I'm seeing a couple other folk are bringing up stuff as well. Welsh, Welsh, we didn't think that Welsh should be here, and they eventually sitting there that gets on. As we're kind of messing him a wee bit as well, bringing him back, trying to, shift him on, then we play him in the cup. He gets, cup tied, it limits his options and all that kind of stuff. We've not really helped out ourselves or Stephen Welsh that situation, but again, that's another story for another different one there. Exactly 50. Well, he isn't 50, but Paddy, you look every age, every single year of that potential 50. No, sorry, listen, stop distracting. We're trying to talk football here. But yeah, in terms of the game, not too bad. As I say, normally we come on, we're doing these post-match things. I always like to have something really to talk about in terms of the amount of action and we done this well and he was playing well and that chance. It didn't really, it was just another one of those games where it all just kind of blended into one for me. I didn't think there was anybody that was really outstanding or, much to write home about other than Araujo. I really think that, and that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot that he was Celtic's man of the match in the stadium on, on the forums and stuff like that. Here, my man of the match, 100%. And why? Because I think all the guys on the pitch, he looked head and shoulders above everybody in terms of commitment, in terms of desire, in terms of passion, in terms of trying to make things happen. He's always such a positive player. And I think we knew that where he's, not a classic right back. He's more like a sort of wing back, kind of, you could probably put him out there on the wing as an out and out winger and you get a good bit out of him. So it's good. He's a nice sort of hybrid. He gets forward. He's good in the tackles. Got a wee bit of fire a couple of times. Obviously, he was having a go at folk. That's the kind of stuff that we need. That's the kind of guys that we need littered across the pitch for us. I thought he was outstanding. And he's really the only person in both halves that I went, yeah, I could talk about him. I could focus in on him and say, yep, that guy was worth every single penny that you get paid today. And that's that, it's a sad thing. But there was some action to talk about because obviously we get a goal and we have a couple of chances. And Yang, again, before his illness coming off, there's a good bit of action for him. I thought he was quite positive today. He looks like a different player under Martin Neill. He did that wee first stint. Obviously, under Nonce, it was, everybody dropped the levels. But again, I thought that he had a decent outing whilst he was on the pitch today. And you can understand why he's attracting a wee bit of interest. I think that I'm starting to get a bit nervous, not only about how little we're doing in terms of bringing people in, and we'll talk about it, the apparent interest in some of our players. That's starting to worry me. And again, you know where I'm at with Yang. I think that he is a good squad player. I think that he has good moments, and I think that he's sorry. I think he's good to have around the squad, but he will not be consistent for game to game to game, and that's where we need one, maybe two players to give us more options where we can allow for those wee dips in his form. But today he tries, he gets in about it, and as I said, I think he's a different looking player under Martin Neill. He's obviously been put the arm put around him, a wee bit of confidence spread into him, and he looks just a bit stronger. He looks a bit more physical. Previously he would get brushed off the ball. He's more mucking in. He's using a wee bit more physicality. I still think he's a wee bit one-dimensional in terms of the way he takes players on. He usually just tries to tap it around them and get around them, or he tries to do that wee sort of weavy run. He doesn't really have that many tricks as such, but he's a good sort of decent game today. And I thought he was pretty unlucky with the shot where he drives into the box. I think it was roughly about sort of 25, maybe 30 minutes in, drives into the box, and he's ahead of everybody else. There's absolutely no support there. He's got defender narrowing the angle, and I thought to myself, that might be a bit rich for him to do it. It was actually in a similar position where he scored a sort of similar goal this season, and he just rocketed it into the back of the net, and I thought that's exactly what he was going to do there. And once again, he did try to do that. He tried to get the shot off, and Bain saves it over. But good bit of sort of, purpose from him. And up until then, that was as good as we really were for chances and really getting on about it. But of course, the goal then comes from Big Franca, and very good header. A good striker's goal. And I actually think I liked about this as well as the big man's quite mobile, as we well know. He's got a good turn of pace. And for a big unit, I still think that throughout the course up until his goal, there was a couple of times where he maybe, even because his size, he's quite lanky, he doesn't strike me as a particularly strong player, but he's trying to back in, he's trying to do the whole Sutton thing and get in. And what I would say is he gives as good as he gets, but he's not quite get that dialed in. Every time he's into a player, somebody's trying to rip the top off him, but he can't really bring it in and, hold it as much. He just seems, the way I describe it's a bit like Simon when Samaras used to try and take the ball in, but he would kind of back in and it would hit off him and it would he'd stumble forward to catch up with the ball. It reminds me of him a wee bit there. But back to the goal. The goal's a good finish. I like it. Comes with a cross for Tierney. But the way I like about it is he adjusts his move twice. Good striker's movement. He's central. He's on the penalty spot. He takes a wee pull back and then he drives forward just off the shoulder and headers it. It's almost a standing header. He's that tall and just nods it straight across Bain to the far corner. Good goal. It'll do his confidence all the good. As I say, he's one goal, one assist in his first two outings. That is pretty much as good as you're looking for. And hopefully that's something that he can build on. But he is going to need some support because, as I said, up until that point, he wasn't really getting much chances presented to him. And I think we need a wee bit more creativity. There's no point in having a guy that we could aim for like that with headers if we're not getting the purchase in it. But I can't complain in terms of that. It's not too bad. But other than that, not really much to write home about from a Celtic perspective. And again, even late on, just in those sort of dying embers of the first half, there was a reminder that, didn't switch off, particularly against Falkirk, because I think it's just about 40 odd minutes in. It's once again, it's a cross in, we're not reading it, it heads in, bounces about the box, and then it just gets directed towards the goal. Kasper Schmeichel's able to get over, smother it, and just keep hold of it. And again, worrying just and my heart in my mouth at that point. I'm like, yes, typical. I'm going to one each here at me half time. But no, absolutely. We get it over the line. Half time, we're good to go. As you were. Take any result at this moment in time. I said it before in the podcast. See, between now and the end of the season, I would take 1-0s all the way and every single goal that was scored to be an opposition OG. I really don't care. But it just makes life a wee bit harder for you and I to come on and do these talks when there isn't too much action really to talk about. In terms of second half, as you know, we came out pretty much the same before we get that early change where Yang has to come off and we get Jamesy Forrest coming in. But again, between the sort of point of the restart, easily for the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes, it looks very much samey. There ain't too much to write home about until we get the goal. Roughly, I think it's just after 60 minutes, 63, 64 minutes or something like that. And it's Benjamin Negan. As I said, the MVP, the bargain basement find of the season with an absolutely fantastic finish. But it's a good bit of work for Cal McGregor, who again I felt had one of his slightly better performances today. He looked a lot more mobile. He was looking for the ball. He was trying to be more positive, move it forward. He was covering the grass well. You know, he was pretty much everywhere. A bit more familiar looking for Cal McGregor than he had been, because again, nobody in this team's exempt for criticism, and I just feel that McGregor's been sort of dialing in a wee bit. But great 1-2 between the two of them. Good link-up play. Starts off McGregor. He's running, plays it through him. 1-2 in, and it's a phenomenal finish just for the edge of the box. A right good, strong finish to the top corner. People might argue and say, goalkeeper should do better. But come on, it's brilliant. And there we go. 15 goals and 6 assists this season. He's carrying this team. He is carrying this team. And you know that I like to occasionally have a wee moan about him. I don't think he's a phenomenal player, but I don't care at this rate. I don't care because he's always in the right place. He's always there at the right pace. He's always there to get a shot off or score a goal, and he chips in with assists as well. And I think he's maybe a wee bit almost like he's a luxury for me in terms of the midfield, because he doesn't have the work rate. He doesn't have the physicality. He's not making tackles and breaking up play. He's certainly not blessed with speed. But 9 out of 10 times, he's in the right place at the right time, and he will somehow influence the game. Yes, there we go. I'll have more of that, please, Mr. Negrin. Keep on going with that. But yeah, it's good. And then right almost after that, a couple of minutes later, again, right place, right time. The ball bounces about and he gets a wee sort of snapshot off in a half volley. Unlucky not to have 2 goals. Perfect. That's as good as I'm liking there with the Wolverine beard. Cheers. It's only a wee bit sharp. I've sharpened it in. I get my hair absolutely rumped because it was getting a wee bit out of hand. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Maybe I wish I'd the build a Wolverine. There you go. But I've maybe got a wee bit of the anger of Wolverine in me, particularly with this board at the moment, because I am fed up, and we shall get on to them as well. After the second sort of attempt for Negrin, again, in terms of chances, that's pretty much all they wrote. There's not too much to write home about. We get a couple of substitutions around the typical Celtic 70 mark where we like it. Engels off for Hatate. I would say Engels, it is what it is. Another, underwhelming performance from him. And we'll talk about him because apparently a 14 million bid from Nottingham Forest, and it's been, rejected. I think it's been rejected simply because it needs to be rejected. We shall talk about him, but let us know what your thoughts on that one are. But again, a fairly unremarkable sort of wishy-washy dialing in performance from today, replaced by Rio Hatate, who you might have not even have replaced him with anybody, because Rio Hatate just doesn't give a fuck anymore, does he? He is just the epitome of dialing it in. I don't care. I really don't want to be here. Funnily, he had that wee early start where he looked positive against Bologna before he gets sent off. And I think I watched it back, and I went, he played well. But that was it. And that just sums him up. You might have well have not even brought on Hatate today. It was absolutely honking. And then, of course, we bring on Taneke, we take off Big Faranka, probably again just trying to nurse him in, get the minutes into him at a steady rate. If he's surviving about this sort of 60 to 70 minutes, it won't be too long before we're able to get 90 out of him. But again, depending on what we maybe bring in, he might not need to do that. We'll have better options to switch it around. But at this moment in time, yeah, we get him on. We also see as well, we get an introduction. There's a couple of substitutions that come on the pitch as well. We get to see a bit of Ian action for Dyson Maeda, another guy who I fed up is saying it, just barely looks interested, doing the absolute bare minimum. And of course, as you've all mentioned, Welsh for Tierney. It's mental. I'm just fed up. I'm honestly just absolutely scunnered and fed up of talking about Stephen Welsh. If Stephen Welsh doesn't go back to Motherwell tomorrow, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace on multiple levels. A disgrace that we have not been able to identify, particularly when we've got guys like Jamie Lawrence out there at Tyrrell with 6 months left. They cost you absolutely nothing, who are levels above probably what we've got at this moment in time available to us at centre half. But also a disgrace that we have messed that guy about, because if he stays at Celtic, that will be him between now and the end of the season. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there at the tail end of games to waste time to make a substitution. That will be it. And as much as I don't think that Steve Welsh is what Celtic need or Celtic class, it's still horrible to see people getting messed about. And that's what we've done. Playing them back, cup tying them, meaning that he can only play for us or Motherwell. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We've hamstrung ourselves. We've backed ourselves into a corner with regards to potential moving him on. And we've also taken the piss out the guy. But yeah, that's it. That's not about it. Taneke again comes on, gets a goal, a phantom goal. It is offside, but again, questionable because Maeda actually gets pushed into the offside position. I don't think he's offside and it hits off him if the defender doesn't push him, but it is what it is. By the letter of the law, he is offside, but it's a decent finish for tonight. When it pounces out to him, he smashes it home, thinks he's done it. And, it probably would have just been the icing on the cake. I think 2-0 is probably a fair result, to be honest with you. As I say, it was very unremarkable. It was a bit turgid. We just managed to get through it. And 3-0 probably would have flattered us, I think, and probably done a wee bit of a disservice to Falkirk. It would have helped the goal difference and, give us an extra goal ahead of the baddies as we currently occupy sort of joint second, if you want to call it that, with Rangers in terms of points. But it is what it is. Another game's out the way, and we've got job done. We're now even points with Rangers. We're 6 points still behind Hearts. But, yep, all to play for. But we now need to capitalise. We've got a decent run of games coming up where we have some, decent fixtures that you've got to say to yourself, yeah, do you know what? I feel all right about that. Aberdeen away, of course, on Wednesday. Aberdeen are red rotten. Aberdeen are an absolute shambles. We should be taking care of them. Livingston at home after that. Again, another great opportunity. Livingston are dug meat. We should be absolutely hammering them. Then we've got a trip to Kilmarnock, and I don't care about plastic pitch and everything. They are rotten. So see this moment in time, Celtic have got a good run of games to get the wind in their sails, to get a bit of confidence, to get some goals, to pick up some points before we welcome Hibs on the 21st, which is arguably going to be the real fucking first proper challenge. And then, of course, as you well know, we've then got the Stuttgart games. They're sandwiched in between that. And then on the 1st of March, it's the baddies at Ibrox. So between now and then, if we can get our act together, if we can get in a minimum of 3 good quality players, 4 would be nice, but laugh, it ain't going to happen. Yeah, let's talk about it. And let's try and get in some of your thoughts in here. It's Typhoon saying, diehard Celtic man, are we going to win anything this year? I've said it and I'll say it again. With this current squad, as it is right now we know, do we know? We've been told that there's going to be 2 players. According to Martin Neill in his post-match, there's a couple of guys doing medicals right now. All right, cool. I believe that. They'll probably get medicals booked. I might be wrong with that. I think somebody's sitting doing a medical right now. No, I probably don't, Celtic. I don't. But back to the point that you're asking me. At this moment in time, with this squad we have, just as it is right now, Celtic don't win anything. Because they're shite. That's the total honesty. I'm never going to mince my words and lie to you and butter up. They win nothing. If, and it's a big if Celtic go and get 3-4 players of quality at a push, where their loans or otherwise, yes, I think we have a shout to at least win the league. In fact, not, and potential, I'm not going to lie. A cup game's a cup game. It's a flip of a coin. So if you can win the league, you can win the cup. It's as simple as that. There's, you've just got to turn up and win your one game in the cup. So absolutely, you could still potentially walk away against all odds with a double. The other variables are if Celtic get in 2 and 3 players, but then sell 2 players or 3 players, where does that leave us? And that will be wholly judged upon the quality of the guys that come in or don't come in. So let's have a wee look at what we've been mentioning. So the first up is Arne Engels. Yous are all talking about Arne Engels, and yeah, this one kind of came a wee bit of a bolt out the blue. We'd heard that there was interest in him from RB Leipzig previously. There was no stated figure. There was nothing mentioned there in terms of any potential fee. I had said at the time, and I maintain, and as we've seen with these bids, any bid that came in for Arne Engels, no matter who it's from, Celtic would clean their nose on it. I don't think that we would lose out in terms of what we paid for him. I think that's pretty clear to see, because varying factors. One, despite the patchy form, the figures are fairly good in terms of goals and goal involvements. He's had some decent performances in Europe. He's obviously won trophies. He's got a long contract, and the fee that we paid for him. If he was a complete and utter disaster, where he was maybe, I don't know, like Bernardo levels, where he just wasn't happening at all, wasn't getting near the team, then yeah, you're probably going to lose money on him. Similarly in the way that we did with Adam Ida, although he was still scoring in goals to game ratio and all, time on the park ratio, but the overall package, just it wasn't performing at the maximum that we paid for him. So I think that's why we took a small loss on him. I think we might have been in danger of that if he hadn't played the way that he had. And as Punch is saying, that's exactly where I'm going with this. The word is that they've put in a £14 million bid. We clean our nose on that. We do clean our nose on it. Of course, there will be an element of a sell-on clause, no doubt, with him. I would be interested to know if the fee that we paid for him with the add-ons and what it was going to rise up to, that would be on certain performance-related achievements. And it'd be interesting to know that if he's actually hit those metrics yet where we've had to pay it, because then that would maybe influence any potential sell-on. But the short end of it is Celtic will make their money back, and I think that if they went in with 14 million today, that's probably been to test the water, and I really wouldn't be surprised if throughout the course of today we see incremental increases on that. And I 100% think that if it hits 18 to 20 million pounds, and folk will still laugh when I say this, but and even myself, I kind of laugh, because I think 14 million is pretty fair based on what I've seen in Arne Engels. And again, I'm not shitting on the guy. I think that there's a lot of tools there to suggest that he could be a good player. He could go on to be a very good player. I think that his development at Celtic probably could be better than where it's at right now. And I genuinely still get the feeling that if he were to stay about and be here next season, do I think he's suddenly going to become 2 or 3 times the player than he is right now? Honestly, no, I don't. That's just what my head tells me. I don't feel that at us, he's going to go through those gears and he's suddenly going to become this outrageous world-class complete midfielder. I think if you put him into a team in Germany again, I think that's the sweet spot. If you put him into a team there, or you put him into a good team in Belgium or something, I think he really thrives. Does he do it in the Premier League? I don't know so much. Interesting, very, very interesting. An interesting move if he were to go to Forest, but I do think that they end up coming in with 18, maybe even 20 million, and I think, knowing the Celtic board, they will absolutely bite their hands off and take that. Now, it's foolish. See if Celtic see if your Bernardos, your Hatate, your McCown were playing well. That's the thing. If they were playing well and Engels came in, we got offered 40 million, would I be happy? I wouldn't care. I would say, fine, sell him, because these other guys are playing equally as good as him. He's not really hit exactly the levels that we thought we'd get out of him. Fine. We've cleaned our nose, we've made a profit. Move him on. I am happy. I'm okay with it. However, those players that we've got in reserve aren't playing well. They're playing poor. They're like pointless. They're non-existent. So it's like getting asked if you want stabbed or shot. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, because whether you like it, whether you think it or agree or don't, he is one of the best midfielders that we've got at this moment in time. And to let him go without there being something else in place, whether that's the guys that are already here who are performing, or you go and you buy somebody off a certain standard, then it's absolutely mental. It's suicidal. It's transfer suicide. It's absolutely outrageous. Now, see if Celtic had went and they were going to go and buy, say, Nico Segura, or they were going to go and get Silas Anderson for Hacken, who, all right, different type of player, but another midfielder. They're different. They're like defensive midfielders. They're hard-working midfielders. But that could work, because that would then free up and allow McGregor to be more creative, go into that more creative role again, because he's not having to try and do everything. And you might get more out the guys that are currently there. You might get more out of, even more out of Negrin. You might get a better performance out of McCown or Bernardo or whoever, because you've got somebody who can sit. But we don't. And we don't look like we're going to do that. So at that end, you can't let him go. It's absolutely mental. It's unthinkable to let Arne Engels go. And there's many folk that I've spoken to about this have said, sell him in a heartbeat. And like, I completely and utterly prescribe to that mindset, that I would sell him, not because I think he's a particularly bad player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. And as I say, I just don't think that he's going to go up through the gears and suddenly become this player that is simply indispensable. You cannot have him out your team. I don't think he's going to ever become that at Celtic. I think he would probably become that elsewhere. And that's why I'd be happy to let him go for the right price. But not now, just because there's nobody there. And that's what Stevie's saying, and this is exactly how I feel. So it's Steve's on the YouTube there. I can maybe pick one or two. I thought he was good against Bratislava that time, and there's been a few other performances where he's went, yeah, that was a really good performance. It was a good complete performance, but usually, it's usually his best games are against slightly lesser oppositions. I don't feel that he's ever really truly turned up in huge crunch games where we've really, really needed him. And that, as I say, is just indicative of where our midfielder at. But who are we going to replace? Who are we going to bring in? Who are we going to try and team up things? So obviously, the first one that we all thought was going to happen was Damir Rezic, the winger, who is now going to Red Bull Salzburg. We'd heard that there was interest in there. They're saying it's going to be a 4.5-year deal. The price is about 4.2 million with various add-ons and a built-in sell-on clause. And of course, there was the other one, Paddy and Steve were talking about him the other night, which was Faris Gejemis from Frosinone in Serie B. Depending on what you listen to, that one was meant to be happening, and now it isn't. Now, what I will say is, I'll go on the record with it. I didn't think either Rezic or Gejemis were particularly good. I thought that their numbers were bang average. I felt that their price was extremely high, particularly Gejemis from, what do you call it, Frosinone. I think they're wanting £66.5 million, which is, for me, complete and utter outrageous. Not in terms of we can't spend that, we can spend that, but a guy that's playing in Serie B, and that's the highest he's ever went, and he's having a wee hot patch now, but you look at the rest of his seasons, and it's like, what are we looking at here? Haven't you learned about getting burnt with Tanecki? Haven't you learned about getting burnt with Balquisha? Now, I know we're throwing Tanecki out. If folk go, oh, Stevie, but Tanecki's not bad. Tanecki's numbers are shite, right? Let's no lie. Let's just, be honest here. Loads of work, loads of running about. His numbers are shite, right? See, as a winger, if you ain't scoring goals, you better damn well be setting them up, and he doesn't even really do that, right? And what the point as well, and it's just the way that things go, the way that we spend our money is foolish at best. We always end up overspending. I think it was, I'm sure someone in the comment will know it, Tanecki, for example. I think when he gets signed by Hammarby, he was like 400 grand or something they paid for him. And inside, 8 months to a season, he suddenly became a 5 million pound player. Come on, give a break. Give a break, man. He'd no body of work or stats or figures or numbers behind him to suggest any of the sorts. That's the Celtic tax. And yeah, he's came here and he looks like he always looks busy, but I'm still never going to, I'll die in this hill. He's not done it. And we spent good money on him. So the thought that we were going to pay £6.5 million for a guy who was arguably on par or potentially worse was mental. Redditch moves on, but here we've heard today Celtic are going to buy someone, and it's meant to be in the pocket of £4 million. And he's a winger, a right winger. Who is that, you may ask? It is Joe Muvka. Now, let's bring up his stats. I'm going to go early in this one. I'm going to go full paddy. I don't normally do it, but here you go. Strap yourself in. Stevie's going to moan. Absolute dog shit. There, I've said it. I am, honest to God, embarrassed, affronted that this is the quality. You have called it there, Bonhill. His stats make Tanecki look like Mo Salah. Look like Mo Salah. And if you've not dug into this guy, let's have a look. Let me enlighten you here. Winger, right? Norwegian, 23-year-old, playing at Lorient, who were previously League 2. Now they are League 1. And when you look at it, he says, I want to join Celtic, or he wants to move because he wants to try and get into the World Cup squad. There we go, right? So he's been in about the unders, right? The unders, which is fine. He's not had a sniff, nowhere near the Norway squad. Now, I enjoy your ambition, young man, but stop taking drugs, because if you think you're honestly going to get anywhere near the Norway squad, you are absolutely wild. You are completely and utterly mental. Like, mental. You're talking nonsense here. Like, let's dig through his stats, right? Let's do this together. I had a wee look. I wanted to see what exactly he's done with himself. Well, as you can see here, 15 appearances so far. He's barely on the pitch, but he's no goals. He's got no assists. Let's go and have a wee further deeper dig into what he's done. So there's the current season, as you can see, top it off there, 17 games. He's got back, my bad, 2 assists. Now, I know that League One's a tough league in terms of if you're playing for one of the sort of peripheral lower quality teams, right? But let's have a snapshot then. Let's go and have a look at when he was in the second division of France, where he clocked in 31 games and popped the ball in the net 3 times and assisted once as a winger. 1 assist. Come on, man. Seriously. And again, I see this. He was good at Bodo, and that's why they bought him. Well, he's been out on loan at Young Boys of Bern, as you can see as well. There's 18 games, 2 goals and 1 assist. And then we dig further back in. I mean, was he really that good at Bodo? Ask yourself that. 23, 12 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. Okay, not the worst. None in the conference, none in the Europa. Champions League qualifying, yeah, that could be against any sort of low-level plankton, depending on what point they come in at. And then look at it at Bodo. There's 32 games. That's 41, 44, 45, 53. And what have we got to show for it here? What do we actually have to show for it? 3, 4, 6, 8 goals and a handful of assists. No, that's not good. That's crap. I'm just going to call it as I see it in this one. That is tragic. That is just, again, this is just Taneki. It's Tilio. It's Yang. And I get what Steven's saying here. I see, likewise, believe me, I'm having a moan here. I am having a moan. Full disclosure, I'm having a moan here. But what I want to know is how are Celtic scouting these folk? Who the fuck are scouting these folk? Now, see if you look at a player. Now, I'm not going to sit here and profess to know a lot about international footballers and be the oracle of, guy stats. I know there's some channels out there that do a lot of that, and they'll be maybe a bit more reliable than just my humble opinion here. But what I'm getting at is, in this discussion earlier on, my old man, I said, what baffles me about these players that Celtic are looking at is that when you look at their body of work, right? Now, I'm not saying that they have to be first choice picks for their team playing at a top 5 league. I get all that. But I want to see them playing regularly, and I want to see them contributing on a regular basis. Now, I'm not expecting them to score every third game, or set one up every game. Absolutely not. But I would like to see more than 0 for his season. I'd like to see a bit more of that. I'd like to see more than a spattering of goals and assists over 2 seasons. Because when you look at that and say, right, we're going to give you £4.2 million for this guy. If you look back and he's got a purple patch, a really good steady patch, and then he's maybe just down in his luck, he's made a move and it's not, it's not worked out for him. But you look previously what he's done, you went, well, he's shown that he can do it. He's shown that he's good. Or you look at him and it's a steady building where he's been consistent every single season, then I could maybe look at it and be optimistic. But where does Celtic look at these guys? Again, I'm using Taneki as an example. Where do they look at Taneki's numbers and what he'd done previous to us signing him and suddenly get in their head and think, that guy's in the right trajectory? When he gets to us, he's going to kick on. You need a track record. You need something tangible to look at and have belief in them. Because I honestly don't know what Celtic are looking at with this guy. I don't even know what Celtic are looking at with most of the guys that we've been linked with. It just drives me mental. And it's absolutely galling. It's so depressing when I look at it. As I say, that a make or break point of our season where we need actual quality. The difference is we've got money and we could go out. We won't, but we could go out and we could spend more and prize away somebody that is playing well at a decent team in a decent league. We could do it. We won't do it. So we go and we look for the alternative option. And I'm happy for the alternative options, I says, to be a good quality player that's maybe been forced out with a new signing that just happens to be better, or that's maybe even had an injury and hasn't managed to get back into the team, but they've got and they've shown something previously. I'm getting none of those vibes for this guy. None whatsoever. And then, of course, we need another striker. Kasper Hogg, forget about it. Ain't happening. Mazwanishi should be the biggest no-brainer, but doesn't look like it's happening either. It's laughable. So who are we now pivoting to once again? We've seen the tribe that Paddy and Stephen spoke about for last night, the boy that was from Noah that we were apparently interested in, who was, again, absolutely tragic when you look at his numbers. And so tragic that he was looked at by 3 teams in the Polish league. You know, that powerhouse league full of quality teams, not said anybody ever, and they didn't even want him. But Celtic were happy to apparently look at this guy. We are shopping around. In fact, we're not even shopping. We're looking in the windies. We're window shopping. But as Stephen says, we're looking window shopping in the charity shop. We're window shopping in the bags and the bins at the back of the charity shop with the stuff that even they can't get rid of. That's what Celtic are doing right now. And, here's another one that's coming. So who else have we been linked with? It's a striker. Get yourself absolutely excited for Junior Adamu at Freiburg. Now, again, this is someone who's meant to be coming over, who's meant to be subject to medical, and could well be another one. Now, Joe Mufka is meant to be a permanent. He's supposed to be 4.2 million. Orient spent £4 million on him, so they're laughing all the way to the bank. Not in terms of profit, but they've made their money back on him for a guy who's not delivered the goods for them. So for them to clean their nose on a guy who's done absolutely nothing for them, they will be laughing. So let's see if we can be a wee bit optimistic about Junior Adamu. Now, when you look here, look at this. Trophies, he's won stuff, right? Brilliant. Looks all good, doesn't it? Look at this. Look. Red Bull Salzburg. Now, keep that in mind, because that was when he was actually looking fairly promising. But let's go and have a look at Junior Adamu's overall balance. Now, if you are on the world of X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, and you see the links and you see the German pages and you translate it, they are very happy to be getting rid of this guy. Again, take that as you find it, but he's that good that they are happy to get rid of him. So again, let's have a wee snapshot. We look, here's this, there we go, 25 season. So I'll get 9, 11, 18 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. Now, again, I understand that Freiburg aren't a massive side, and I understand that the German league is quite competitive, but yep, that's not a fantastic return, is it? So you say, okay, it's still easy. Well, let's look at the other season there, right? When he managed to clock in 27 games and scored 4. 2 were in the cup, and again, that could be against absolute plankton. So let's just look at the goal tally. 2 and 25 last season and 2 assists. Okay, so that was maybe a tough season for him. Let's have a look at what he done the season before. There we go. 21 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Seriously, and there's the good bit. There's the bit where they signed him, because he had kind of 2 back-to-back, no bad seasons, when he was at Salzburg. But aside for that, it's much of a muchness. Could he recapture the form of Salzburg that got him that big money move, got him into Freiburg, got him over to Bundesliga? Absolutely, potentially, of course he could. But again, just looking at the optics, yes, 6 goals in 67 games is horrendous. I don't care if you are playing in the most difficult league in the world. If you are a striker, no matter how bad your team are, you will be getting presented with chances. And if what you can muster up is 6 goals in 67 games, now that isn't 67 chances, that's 67 games. You could have multiple chances, as we well know. And you could have 5 chances in a game, you could have 1 chance, you could have 10 chances, 6 goals. Seriously, man, come on. I mean, Faranka, for example, yeah, he's looked good. Fingers crossed. And he looked, his statistically was garbage as well. Nightmare fuel in Germany. But he might be able to resurrect and find the previous form that got him that big move. So hopefully it doesn't, Rob. So that's not lost on me. But what I mean is we've brought in Karanka, and he has a gamble because, like I'm saying, you're hoping he recaptures his form of old, right? So you'd hope that the other guy that you bring in is kind of on it, right? No, hold my beer, Celtic. Celtic are like, no. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in 2 guys who aren't scoring, who are a wee bit down in their luck, and hopefully both of them can find their form and score the goals that we need. That's a gamble, man. That is an absolute gamble. As I say, doing it with one guy, doing it with Tomas Karanka is fine. Doing it with one guy, but doing it with 2 guys that you bring in is just insanity. Taking 2 guys who aren't performing and hoping that they will convert themselves at you is just absolutely wild. And again, and I'm not here to disagree or argue. His pedigree is better than Karanka in that he has probably played at better teams. That's where I'm at with it. And again, this is the thing. I'm sorry, and I honestly hate moaning. I can't wait for the transfer window to just shut one way or another. But please turn it off. Turn it off. It's just there it is. Turn off the transfer window. It's just taking so much out of everybody. And I want something to be positive and be inspired about. And I get it. Keep the faith, faithful through and through. We're Celtic fans. And by God, man, there's a lot of our fans that are trying to polish turds left, right, and centre. Oh, I mean, look at what he's done before. He might. It's no lost on me. Trust me, it really, really isn't. But I don't want every player that we're getting linked with and every player that we appear to be bringing in to the club to be turd polishing, to be, oh, well, they were good at one point and maybe they're going to start picking it up at Celtic and reinvigorate themselves. I'm all for it. I'm all for giving second chances and giving guys a platform to build themselves up. We've done it with players over the years. There's been many guys that we brought that were unfancied to the club and have turned out to be great. But we need proven quality. We need something dependable on top of that. You can supplement it with these type of guys, but it can't be every single one. And at the moment, it does look like every single player likely to come in to our club tomorrow is going to be something of a, we'll see how it goes. Exactly. The rehabilitation. There you go. That's it. The rehabilitation centre for wayward, down on their luck footballers. They should put that above the front door at Celtic Park, because that is exactly what we're doing. And again, I don't know what Hercules is saying about us January. It's this and that. Happy clap all you want, mate. I'm going to say it to you. Good players don't get sold in January. Oh, nonsense. Nonsense. Go and look at all other clubs, right? The term good is subjective, because what's good to one person might be shite to the other. Like, for example, Hearts. Shanklin's injured, go and sign another striker. Now, is he a brilliant striker? No, but do they think that he's the required quality for them? Yes. And wherever they've bought him for, he was obviously of a certain standard. In the same way, we don't like doing it, but look at the players that Rangers have signed. Last time I checked, they were all getting a game for the teams that they were playing for. And they were playing at decent teams, by the way. Maybe Skov Olsen. But again, he had proper high-level quality. There you go. Look at Bowie. No matter what you think of Bowie, Hibs sold him because the money was right. So this idea, this myth of it's tough to get deals done in January is just a cover-all shite term that gets wheeled out by our board, or unfortunately our managers, or anybody that gets put in front of the cameras to cover shortcomings, tightness, lack of vision, lack of scouting at Celtic Football Club. That's the situation, 100%. Teams don't want to sell their best players, but I can guarantee you, if the money is correct, they go and do it. And we are the prime example of that, unfortunately. Celtic don't, and again, well, here's another one for you then, right? Here's another one for you. I don't know how to do it, but the bold Hercules wants to call me out on my reply. Who's the answer? Well, here's one for you, mate. You tell me, because what I do is I put my face and my neck out here, my opinion on here every single week, as the Paddy, as the Steve, and all the other guys that come and join us. And we give you our thoughts. They're not saying that they're right. We're not saying that we are right and you're wrong. And likewise, you're not wrong and I'm not right. It's a two-way street. But we give suggestions, we give thoughts, we give our analysis of it. And a lot of people just throw out comments, but never, ever suggest. Since I don't have the answers, I'm sure you do. Tell us, okay, so you like the no striker. Cool. based on what I told you I thought the North striker was shite, based on his level, his numbers, and standard. What did you like about him? It's a two-way conversation, so that's what I'm saying. And this isn't me calling out or having a go. I'm just genuinely, I always like to try and have a back and forward with folk. What I'm saying is I'm happy to have a discussion with you. I'm not here to just talk at you. I'm here to talk with you. But give me something tangible. Give me a reason. It's people just shout out comments and say talking shite or this and that, or who would you suggest? Well, I'm trying to suggest names to you. You give me something to come back at. You know, that's what I would say. And there's a lot of yous that often do, because a lot of people sit and talk and they give us plenty of suggestions, but there's also people that don't. And that's not a slight at anybody who doesn't do that. But what I'd say is have a think about it, because we don't have the answers. We are merely fans with a microphone and a podcast. We are just like you. We have opinions and we put them out there. And that's it. And this is it. There we go. It's a total sort of it's a two-way street. You know, Stevie doesn't like the North striker. He thinks that, you know, Armenian League is dog meat, and that's where I'm at with it. Again, Taneki, a lot of people like him, but there we go. Mikey Johnson disguise. So that's just the great thing about it. We sit and we have different opinions on, but I just honestly don't think that any of these guys that Celtic are getting linked with are the required quality. It really, really concerns me. And I think what is more worrying is the fact that there's interest in players at Celtic. And again, that's come back to what I'm saying about players. You don't sell your best players. Yes, teams do sell their best players if you're willing to come in with the money. It's the exact same reason why Celtic always sell a big asset. You know, whether you think they were superstars or not, selling Nicholas Kuhn, right, and never replacing them appropriately. Selling Matt O'Reilly at a time when you went, don't really want to sell Matt O'Reilly, but we sold him. Why? Because the money was there. Selling Kieran Tierney back many years ago because the money was right. Selling Dembele, selling Edward, you know, insert top Celtic player name here. We will sell them if the money's right. So that applies to every single team out there. No, our fifth in the Armenian League, yeah, exactly what I thought. You know, Armenian League's so competitive, and he's the big top striker that's doing the damage. But by the by, that's just, you know, that might have been a bit petty there. But yeah, my point is January, the fallacy of it's hard to get players signed in January is a lot of muck. It's total garbage. It's a cover-all shitey term that gets used. Absolutely ridiculous patter. It is. Do teams not want to sell? I get it. Teams don't want to sell, but here's a case in point for you, and it's not going to happen, but I'm just throwing it out there. Kasper Howe, right, at Bodo Glimt, who ultimately put them through to the next round of the Champions League with 3 goals in his last 2 games, right? Bodo Glimt have went, yes, we'll sell him, £10 million, how much you want for him? He's one of their best strikers. And he got them that pot of gold in the next round of the Champions League. But they've went, we'll sell him. £10 million, please, and you can have him. So teams do sell their best assets. You've just got to be willing to pay for them. And Celtic don't want to pay for them. And there's another one as well, yeah. Another example of players selling better examples. Jamie Lawrence at Tyrrell. One of their outstanding stick-on performers as a centre-half. 6 months left in his contract. Happy to let him go. And that's it. It's and again, and I'm listening, Herka, I know what you mean. I'm not jumping on it one way or another, but even the idea of it's, you know, you're not saying you can't get players in January, just saying it's difficult. It's only as difficult as you want to make it. That's the reality. It is only as difficult as you want to make it. Now, I understand that it's business, whether we like that term or not, it is business. And as you know, Fergus McCann infamously says, don't do bad deals. Don't, you know, spend £4 million on a £2 million player, or don't spend £10 million on a £5 million player, and so on and so forth. I get that. But you've also got to look at the value of a player and think about it. So if a guy is valued by a team at £6 million and you offer them, typically Celtic would do 4, let's just say, probably would be lower than that. You at least think that he's £4 million worth, which is actually not that far off it. It's different if you're offering 4 and they're wanting 12. You're miles apart. But Celtic tend to really just skirt about the price. So the ask isn't really that much. You know, that the increase is never really that much. It's just we don't want to do it. Whereas what Celtic would rather do is see, instead of going and buying, say, for example, Casper Howe, for example, at £10 million, who is as near as a sure thing as you were going to get. Celtic would rather go and get 2 guys on loan that are shite, or go and spend £5 million on some speculative punt and get another guy on loan. It's the same what we do with wingers. See, instead of just going and picking one good guy, like we'd been, insert winger name over the seasons that we've been linked with, that maybe would cost you £6 or £7 million. Let's just say the higher end, £7 million, but good track record. No, what Celtic would rather do is they would rather go and buy 2 guys at £10 million who combined aren't as good as him. That's what they would do. Like Silas Anderson at Hacken, central defensive midfielder, rather than going and getting him, Celtic, rather than spending £7 million on him, Celtic would rather go and buy another Luke McCowan and another fucking, I don't know, what, Kwon, and spend as near as the same amount of money when they could just get the one good one. Now, in a world where Celtic are trying to reduce their wage bill, they're trying to thin out the squad, that's exactly the approach that Celtic should be doing. Rather than filling it out with shite that's like 3 million here, 2 million here, the occasional 4 millionaire, maybe you get your pants pulled down and you'll pay £5 million for a Balakwisha or a Taneke. Just minimise it. And I know it's good to have options and have to have depth in various players for various positions, but just cut it. Go and buy one good player rather than 2 average players. It's like Arsenal used to do that. I always use them as a great example. Arsenal were phenomenal at doing that. They would always identify one player that they really wanted, this brilliant midfielder, and he was maybe going to be 40 million, but instead what they do is they go and buy 2 guys that just weren't as good at 20 million and waste money. And that's exactly what Celtic are doing here. Mazmanishi, I'm fed up of mentioning his name. £4 million, even if it was £5 million, go and do it. You've spent that on Taneke and you've spent that on Balakwisha, and none of them could lace up his boots. We spent, £2 million on Shin Yamada? Come on, man. This is just back to my point. Just stop buying underperforming muck for too much money and just go and buy one player that's actually good. So anyway, I'm sorry I've ranted on a wee bit. I would love it to be a wee bit more upbeat. I'm not going to lie to you. This could continue tomorrow because as it stands at this moment in time, we have no get anybody in. Martin Neill claims tonight that there was a couple of bodies that were going through medicals and that we might get somebody else in before then. So the reality is, if you believe, and again, what do we believe? But if it's these 2 guys that I've mentioned, you might then get another scrambler. Coming back to Mazmanishi again, he's one of them all who should not be hard to do. Doing the M74. Can make that happen in 25 minutes. So there you go. And, and the thing is, here's the thing as well. Motherwell 5 points behind. They're never selling this. Motherwell will sell if the price is right. I can tell you right now, Celtic walk in with 4.5, even £5 million, and they get Welshie back, they will take it. Absolutely, they will take it. 100%. If you think otherwise, then I really don't know. I'm not saying it's bad to think otherwise, but Motherwell will sell. Motherwell will 100% sell. there might be the wee bit of league rival tax on you, but they'll sell them 100%, because look at the other potential offer that they got from Blackburn, £1.5 million. Defamatory, just the like, absolute insult. They'll sell, 100% they'll sell. Whether if it was to us or to somebody else, he will go if the money comes in. And that comes back to exactly what I said about every single person. Every team, every player has got a price if you're willing to pay it. And that's for January. Sometimes in January, it's difficult. It's difficult twofold, because one, yes, some teams don't want to sell, but also some teams don't want to spend. And I understand that the desperation of January means usually prices are overinflated. People do pay more than they should do. But that comes with the territory, and it comes with the territory that Celtic find themselves in constantly, which is not actually doing the business properly. So it's part and parcel, as they say. If you want to fuck about and be shite at transfers and you're scrambling in January, then you better expect to spend a wee bit more than you probably should. But Celtic do that every time, because normally we leave it to the last day anyway, and we not spend regardless of whether it's the summer or whether it's the winter, January window. Same thing happens. Anyway, plenty to think about. But on a final note, there was obviously a very vocal fan sort of noise coming directed at the board, and that's good to see, because they deserve every single bit of flack that they deserve. There was obviously a tifo referring to them as traitors, was picked two of them and the head of security. A very good, well put together tifo. On a personal note, I think it kind of, I thought the tone of it was missed. I would have rather it was something a bit more square in the nose about spending money. Yes, there maybe are traitors, they've sold us out. This board have sold us out. But I would have just liked it to be a wee bit more flat on the nose. Spend some fucking money, Celtic. Tight bastards or something like that. Right? You can tell I don't make tifos, because it would be crap if that was. But you get what I'm saying. The tone I would have rather would have been something a bit more direct, calling them out and embarrassing them for their lack of spending. That's what I would have liked to have seen on the tifo today. Something a wee bit more flat, square on the nose. Don't miss. But I've said it before. I will say it again. Regardless of how this window pans out come tomorrow evening, see on Tuesday, I think that Michael Nicholson should be relieved these duties immediately. He should be out the door straight away, because no matter what we bring in tomorrow, it's so late on, and it is severely, severely hindered our chances. We had Karanka in to play against Hearts. That wasn't enough. We should have had at least 2 players, maybe 3 players in early on in the window to just make every game that wee bit easier, particularly against Hearts. We should have had more options in for that game. We thought that we were going to have players in for today, not that we needed them, but again, it would have been nice to have them in. This is the problem. We just need to get folk in we need to get folk in the door, and the sooner you can get them in, the better. But it's going to be, Celtic will probably do what they've done. See these 2 guys that I've mentioned here, they'll probably, after coming to Celtic, they'll be arranged by like early afternoon. And I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic do what they do, and you've seen them and I've seen them, and they're, pictures of them in trackies and stuff, or inside Celtic Park, and they hold on to it for like 5 and 6 hours before they announce it to you, and every fucking body already knows. It's embarrassing the way they spin these things. But I think, if I'm being honest with you right now, how many will we get in tomorrow? I reckon we probably get those 2 guys. We probably get Mufka, and we get Junior Adamu in. I would still absolutely love to see Jamie Lawrence, and I would love to see Tawanda Mazmanishi. I think that the latter of them, I keep saying it, and I won't get bored of saying it. It's such an easy layup. Down the M74, you've got someone you want, and in the grand scale of things, you're going to spend 4 million on Mufka. I believe Adamu is just going to be a loan with an option to buy, so he's not costing you anything. And I remind you again, in this transfer window, That is how much money Celtic have spent. And in this entire season so far, Celtic have spent £13 million and currently have around £15 million in profit. So I don't care. If Motherwell want £5.5 million, just give them it, because you're not going to spend money on anything else anyway. And that would bring your spending up to a nice round for the entire season, about £23 million. And then they've still got the threat of whether they sell Engels and all. So there's still plenty of time for you, Celtic, to, post a profit while spending some money and doing all that sort of smoke and mirrors that you like to do. And, I just think that it's desperate stuff. But we'll be here to talk about it one way or another. I can't guarantee that we'll be all happy and smiley. I do have the funeral suit. It's been ironed and it's been pressed. So the white shirt, black tie and black suit is in waiting. And it will be determined closer to the time whether it gets worn or not. Not that Celtic care. They don't, doesn't make any difference what Steve O'Matt on the podcast wears. But certainly I am not feeling confident this time, and I am completely and utter scunnered. And the more folk I've spoke to, the amount of people that I've heard who are giving serious consideration to not renewing a season ticket when it comes round is outrageous. And I'm talking about guys that I know that have had season tickets for, anywhere between 10 years to 30 odd years, and they're all saying the exact same. Some folk will turn to that and say entitled, look at the trophies, look at the success. But as I said the other day, Celtic is more than football a football club to people. It's an emotional attachment. It's like a relationship, and it's something of an abusive relationship. And the powers that be know that, because they know that the majority of folk will take the shit. They will take getting served up subpar football with mediocre players, the most expensive in terms of price tag and wages, most expensive assembled Celtic team ever currently, with the absolute nonsense that we've been served up. But they know that they can do it because folk will keep coming back. And I think that it would be a stark reality for them if there was a large amount of non-renewals. Of course, depending on how this season pans out. And I can understand why folk are doing it. Folk will say, oh, you'd be silly, there'll be a queue, the waiting list. And I've said this before, see the waiting list. I think the waiting list is just another made-up pile of shite as well. Now, I know folk who are on it, so you maybe think I'm contradicting myself, but I don't think the waiting list is anywhere near what they make it out to be. I know folk that have been on it for, I've been on it for 10 years, I've been on it for 7 years, and whatever, but a lot of them are also because I want 2 tickets together, or I want X amount together. There will be people that have been waiting for a singular ticket for a while, but see the waiting list, am I right in saying that you have to pay money to be on it? And if that's the case, that's why the waiting list there, because it's free money. Because if the waiting list and the demand was as high as it was, Celtic are a business and they don't care. They're being cutthroat in terms of the way that they deal with business, and they don't care if it affects you or I, how it makes you feel. So don't put it past them that, see when they say, oh, you've got to such and such a date to get your season ticket, and then nobody really does it. Oh, good news, we've extended it by 2 weeks. And then nobody really does that one. Oh, good luck, final chance to get it, we've extended it for a third time. See if the waiting list was as bulging as it seems to do, they would extend it once and once only. Or they wouldn't even extend it, they just go, oh, you knew the waiting list, you knew the time was there to buy, you've not bought a ticket, unlucky you, your ticket's yours now and we're going to sell it. They don't. It's nonsense. I refuse to believe that there's this massive, huge, ultra demand, because if that was the case, as I said, if you didn't meet the deadline, they would just take your ticket off you and they wouldn't care how long you've had it or what you say. Who cares? Because you're no longer their problem anymore. And they've got somebody else that's bought the ticket potentially come in and do it. But I can understand why folk don't want to go and are thinking about not renewing, because, I've got a mate, it's about 6 tickets, about 650, maybe near about 700 quid for a ticket. And what he's been getting served up, yes, like myself, he's grateful for the success. Of course he is. But You go to football, firstly, because it's your team and you're passionate and you love it, but you go there to be entertained. You go there to be excited. You go there to see, because it's a product. You go there to see a good product. You wouldn't go and pay for a Sky subscription, right? A top end Sky subscription and accept getting 7 channels, would you? You know, that's a bit of a strange comparison, but that's what it is. You know, you pay good money to go and watch your team. You go there to see good quality. You don't go there to see pish. You know, and like he stays in Motherwell. Now, he's never going to change his allegiances, of course not. But see if it was just about going and seeing live football and being entertained every Saturday. He could take his boy up to Motherwell. Now, I know that season's gone by, they've been shite, but certainly in terms of this season, he could go up there, even buy a season ticket, and he could still have about 500 quid in his skyrocket and get to see Celtic play Motherwell twice and probably get the same level of football live enjoyment out of it. Do you know what I mean? So that's I can understand why folk are maybe getting turned off by it, because what we're getting served up is dung. And you know, the money isn't getting reinvested. Remember that every single penny that gets brought into the club is reinvested into the playing squad. Peter Wall, I refuse to believe it. And that's just with the acid test again tomorrow. We'll see what quality, what level of investment's coming into the club tomorrow. I am going to hazard a guess. I am going to say Celtic will have spent in this transfer window by the end of it £8 million and a couple of loans. And that's me being optimistic. That's me assuming that they buy 2 guys at £4 million and probably loans. And again, I'm not against loans, short-termism, as long as if they're a certain quality. But I'm just not being bowled over by anybody that we've been linked with. I got excited about Casper Howe, but that was nonsense. That was never going to happen. I like to look at Nico Segura, but again, that's never going to happen. Mazvanishi, don't need to tell you what I thought of him. You know, Jamie Lawrence, like to look at that as well. Basically, all the guys that I thought, Silas Anderson, all the guys that I thought, yep, they're the ones, go and get them. Nah, we'll just pivot to the guys that are playing in the average teams, in the average leagues, with average stats and average numbers, and hope that gets us through. And I hope and pray that we do get something to be positive about, but don't hold your breath. So, transfer deadline tomorrow. Myself, probably Paddy as well, as we done last time. We will come on, we'll do a wee live stream for a reaction. We won't do some like to stay on for the whole period, but we'll not do that. We'll come on closer to the window closing, maybe inside the last sort of half hour or so, and we'll catch it closing, then we'll discuss what may or may not have happened after it there. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks for joining me. Well over 250 at our peak tonight. Still around about the 190. So thanks for sticking with us. As I said a million times on this tonight, I am sorry that it's been a wee bit sort of negative, but it really is. It's really starting to drain. It's I don't know how you guys out there are feeling. I'm just really, really deflated at this moment in time. We're grinding out results. We're getting there. We're back and we're in the fight. We are in the fight, but we can't keep going to this well. This team need help. They need reinforcements. They need them ASAP. A minimum of 4 is what Celtic need. And if we do 4, we might just get away with it. But that will be what it will be, getting away with it. And it's quite frankly shameful that Celtic would find ourselves in a position where come the end of the season, if we win the league and maybe even another trophy, I know that's all that matters. And we'll look at this debacle and we'll say, that was a state, wasn't it? But we'll be grateful for the win. But if we do manage to get there, the fashion in which we'll have got there is unacceptable for a club like Celtic. So anyway, take care of yourselves. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope for something positive tomorrow. But as I say, don't hold your breath, such is the way of Celtic. Some folk will say, keep the faith and all that. Well, keep the faith. I'll say it. There you go. You've ground me down to say a phrase that I hate. But yes, keep the faith, because it's all we've got at this moment in time. So until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully there's something positive, and hail, hail. Bye-bye.